Hello, it's me. So happy Monday, such as it is. I hope you're all up and refreshed. So today, the P. Diddy trial enters its final stage. Well, deliberation, sentencing, penultimate stage. And we're going to hear from the Punisher. Yes, it conjures up all kinds of images, doesn't it? So, this is coverage by News Nation. Shout out to News Nation for their coverage, of course, and go over and show them some love.
As jury deliberations are set to begin in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the defense painting the music mogul's habits as nothing but a lifestyle, with one of his lawyers even comparing the infamous freak-offs to couples drinking strawberry lemonade together.
Strawberry lemonade and extreme sexual acts. You don't think the strawberry lemonade was a direct reference to urinating in Cassie's mouth, do you? Because if so, maybe a bit off the mark there. Yeah. It not really. I get the whole consenting adults thing, and if you've got two adults that are consenting, then, okay, yeah, there is a comparison. But I think this is a step too far.
Analogy coming after weeks of testimony by Cassie Ventura, who says she was beaten and forced to participate in the freak-offs. We do want to bring in the witness in the Diddy trial hired by Combs to participate in these freak-offs, Sheree, nicknamed the Punisher Hayes. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. And
here he is,
more.
The Punisher.
Part of these freak-offs personally.
Surely all this does is it enhances his personal profile. All this, that all saying there's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, we all know that's not strictly true. But in this case, there is no such thing as bad publicity. I bet he's got more bookings than he knows what to do with.
What role did Combs play? And do you believe there was any wrongdoing on his part?
So all of my dealings and my interactions was with Cassie Ventura specifically. So it's kind of hard for me to really
it's kind of hard, is it?
Call what his involvement was. There was very little interaction in terms of just subtle directions, given more based on lighting and body position and those type of things. So it wasn't a lot of actually blatant interaction on his part. They would always leave the room to interact outside of my presence. So I did not personally see a lot of their interactions.
So he would be sitting there watching these freak-offs.
Yeah, let's get back on track.
Participating in. You were having sex with Cassie Ventura, is that right?
Yeah, he would be across the room, seated at a table, watching whatever was going on between her.
And the defense really used your testimony. It was interesting to see that these encounters were controlled, that they seemed consensual. There were no obvious signs of coercion, you were saying. The defense using that to try to cast doubt on trafficking charges. What do you think of that?
I think based on what the testimony was, it was accurate. I maintain that I honestly didn't see any signs of her being in distress. Obviously, I know what she testified to and other experiences, but if I have to speak specifically about my interactions, I didn't witness any.
Yeah. The defense and the prosecution really split down the middle. One side calling the freak-offs criminal, another one just painting it as simply a lifestyle choice. When it comes down to...
that's ultimately it, isn't it? The burden of proof is how much of this was actually consensual. And my personal feeling is that much of it, initially at least, was consensual. For reasons I've stated previously, you go into this lifestyle, all the power, all the money, all the glitz, all the glamour, all the baby oil, all the urine, all that stuff. It must really be, something. But on a slightly serious note for a moment, there's no doubt that there was a massive controlling aspect there. That once Diddy had drawn you in under quite normal for Diddy, pretext is, a career, fame, fortune. Once he gets you in using those tools, if you like, then things go downhill rather quickly. Certainly according to the testimony, and it's been quite consistent, I think. And I don't have a problem with, I was into it at first, and then I was just thought, you know what, this isn't me. No. I'm doing something here that is going to cost me my soul at some point. And I firmly think that's a thing. So,
what do you believe? I mean, having actually been in that room, participating in them.
Well, again, I can only
get hot and heavy
experience, and I was involved for 2.5 years, and I always assumed that they were a couple, and this was just a part of their sex life. Again, I don't want to discredit anything Ms. Ventura says, as there were way more experiences than I was involved in. But from my personal experience, I can't say that I seen anything that appeared to be her in distress.
Yeah, and being at the trial yourself, how did you gauge the jury reacting to Combs? How do you anticipate this going this week?
He's in a difficult position, though, because if he says that she was in distress whilst they were, then he's then party to a criminal act, then, isn't he, at that point? And, we can't underestimate that she may have been trying to please, Diddy. So, I don't know, there's not much of this for me that's like a grey area. I think the elements that the prosecution has delved into, which, straddle consent and then non-consent, it's all been sort of perfectly weighted. I think that the jury are not going to have any trouble looking at this and thinking, it became criminal. It became criminal. It may not have been initially, but it eventually went in that direction and was overtly criminal. And we're not even including, paying for the Punisher across state lines.
I really think it's a tough scenario. The bottom line is if they are viewed as just a couple and this is part of their relationship, then it will be favorable for Mr. Combs. It's really about the decision if this was a forced scenario that she took part in for many years against her will, or if this was really part of their lifestyle. And like you said earlier, it really does appear to be split down the middle. So
and Sheree, can I ask you, were you shocked when you saw that hallway video from the hotel at the violence portrayed there? Were you surprised when you saw that? Did you see any signs of that? Did you believe that Combs could have done that to her?
Now, if I was the Punisher right now, I'd be concerned about answering this question, because this whole Sean Diddy Combs thing isn't over after sentencing. There are other allegations. So if he comes across now and says he was shocked, and later on he gets called again to a different gets called to testify against a certain set of charges that haven't yet become apparent, this could all backfire spectacularly for him.
I did not. I was definitely shocked. My interactions firsthand, they seem happy and in
He's
love.
in great shape, though. Fair play to him.
Seeing things escalate to that level, as we know, that happens in a lot of relationships in our society. It was shocking to see that it went to that place of unfortunate behavior.
Do you think that he should go to jail for the rest of his life?
I struggle with that, right? It's people who have low points, and in terms of criminal activity,
so
it's very hard to convolute.
I struggle with that. Is he trying to remain, as neutral as he can for his own safety? Because can you be that involved? I mean, He was as involved as it gets. He was knee deep, dare I say, up to the nameplate. Look at that, saying up. You're bound to see all kinds of stuff. For me, there's a lot of self-preservation going on here.
What we get, because we don't get the full, we're not in the court, right? So it appears he's on trial for his sex life. A lot of it is consented. I'm sure there's moments where there's issues, but the information that I have, it's hard to truly connect what's justifiable in terms of a sentence.
You were very clear tonight. I really appreciate you joining us, Sheree.
It's really difficult for him. He's in a tough spot. And I as everyone is, anyone who's in Diddy's orbit now is in a tough spot, including his son and possibly sons. There's nothing good about this. And, we're all sat here, those of us who do these videos and just generally viewing and being interested in what's going on, sat here pontificating, passing judgment, based on our own personal views, thinking that this is the be all and end all, the trial of the year or century, whatever. This could be the tip of the iceberg. There are other charges against Diddy that might still become apparent, I think, as well as his son. It's just, again, we all wait with bated breath, don't we, for the sentencing. So I will be covering this a bit more. I will be keeping my eyes open on the various videos that come out. Shout out again to News Nation for their coverage. Go over there and like and subscribe to their channel as well as this channel. Until then, this is me signing off. Look after yourselves.